there, Internet. My name's Court, and you've got courtside seats for my review of The Stand, Episode 5, Fear and Loathing in New Vegas. It's a great title. Let's do it. So welcome back to my ongoing review series of The Stand. If you've been watching for a while, you know that overall I'm enjoying this series, but I do have some considerable problems with it. Particularly the non-linear story structure. Those flashbacks are really driving me a bit crazy. And then in this episode, no flashbacks. And you'd think that I'd be happy about that. And yet I'm not. I'm actually kind of bummed. I would have been okay with more flashbacks if that meant seeing more of the plague, which for me was the most compelling part of the entire book. But as of this episode, it really does seem to me that they've pretty much abandoned that part of the storyline. They won't be getting back to it. It's really a shame. I spent 4 episodes complaining about flashbacks and now I miss them. I guess I just don't know what I want, other than the plague. That sounded weird. That aside though, I will say I really enjoyed this episode. But now, the usual caveat, like all of my reviews in this series, this review will be a spoilers video. I'm not going to cover the entire episode beat for beat, but there are specific things in here that I want to discuss. So if you haven't seen the episode yet and you want to go in cold, go watch it. Hopefully you'll come back later, but this is officially your spoiler warning. Cool? Cool. Moving on. Before I really get into the story and acting and all that, I want to talk about the soundtrack of this episode. Because there were 3 moments that really stood out to me. 2, not in a good way, 1 in a really good way. First, the usage of Tom Jones, It's Not Unusual. I get it. It makes sense. They're in Vegas. But honestly, when it happened, all I could think about was Carlton doing the Carlton. I'm sorry you had to see that. And it just took me out of the moment. Secondly, when Larry breaks into Harold's home, they use the track Goodbye by Apparat, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. It's a cool song, I like it. But it was used in Breaking Bad when Gus Fring walked into the old folks' home. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And for me, that's one of the most iconic sequences in television as far as I'm concerned. I kind of feel like they should retire that song's number, you know what I mean? I am mostly joking, I don't really care, but I did find that in that moment when that song came on, I was thinking about Breaking Bad, I wasn't thinking about The Stand. Now the third one was right at the end of the episode for me, and I gotta say it put a huge smile on my face. The episode ends with Blue Oyster Cult's Don't Fear the Reaper. It's a great song that I was really hoping they would use at some point in this series because, of course, it was used over the opening titles of the 94 miniseries of The Stand, a sequence which I think is pretty well perfect. And if I'm not mistaken, I can't find my copy of the novel right now, so I can't check, but I think the book actually opens with the lyrics for that song. Fact check me in the comments if I'm right or wrong. Now this episode picks up with Dayna. She's now all the way across the country. She's working at the Hoover Dam, and she's taken aside by Julie and Lloyd. Now when Lloyd, played by Nat Wolff, was introduced way back in episode 2, I was not sure how I felt about his kind of flamboyant portrayal. It was a little loud, and maybe it's because I'm more used to Miguel Ferrer's version in the 94 miniseries, where he was kind of more like a glorified bodyguard. But in this episode, I really did get on board with this particular performance, as it kind of fits the debaucherous nature of New Vegas anyway. I also thought that Natalie Martinez as Dayna was really darn good in this episode too. And then we get that cool aerial tracking shot from the Hoover Dam all the way into New Vegas. That was awesome. And then we get our first real look at life in New Vegas. And like I said, it's a lot of debauchery. I don't know what it says about me, but I kind of feel like I might enjoy living there. I've really warmed up to Owen Teague's performance of Harold on this show, particularly in the last couple of episodes. I find his physicality really interesting. When he's being himself, like bad Harold, his posture is hunched and he moves with almost like lurching movements. But when he's putting on a show, pretending to be a good guy, back straight, shoulders squared, big smile, like the Tom Cruise thing. I actually noticed towards the end of the episode, between his physicality, his coat, his long hair, I got a distinct Heath Ledger Joker vibe from him. I was okay with that. I was saying in last week's review that I liked how this show has made Mother Abigail a little bit crusty. I feel like they went a little bit too far with it in this one. I really didn't like seeing her straight up berating Nick. That felt out of character to me. And I've been up and down on Amber Heard as Nadine on this show. Some episodes I really like her, other episodes I really don't. I don't mean the character, I mean the performance. Last episode I thought she was really good in it. This episode, not so much, although I will say a lot of her dialogue in particular was not very good. Maybe that had something to do with it. I did love the scene where Flagg was addressing New Vegas on the big billboard video screen, and he sort of sees Dayna and nobody else notices that. That was really cool. And then in this episode, we get one of my favorite sequences of the entire book, where Nadine is summoned by Flagg to his penthouse so he can interrogate her about the other two spies. In the book, that sequence was terrifying. I absolutely loved it. Now, the 94 miniseries is something I really do genuinely enjoy. At the same time, I do find it really cheesy at times. It's kind of part of its charm. But I remember watching it for the first time when we got to this sequence and I was like, please don't mess it up. Please don't mess it up. And they didn't. It was a really good scene and I was very happy. And then Dayna killed herself and then there was a really bad 90s TV visual effects shot. And then Flagg had a rubber demon mask on and he threw a temper tantrum and he was kicking over vases and pulling down curtains and it was hilarious. Here, I think they nailed it. The scene was tense. I loved Skarsgård in it. He was playful. He was angry. He was scary. And I loved how after Dayna killed herself, he didn't throw a tantrum. He just kind of nonchalantly shrugged his shoulders. I loved that. But yeah, overall, I would say that this is my favorite episode of the show so far. I know I said that last week, but I thought this one was better. So those are my thoughts on episode 5 of The Stand, titled Fear and Loathing in New Vegas. Now, I want to know, what did you guys think about this episode? Of the entire cast, who's your favorite person in this show so far? Whatever your thoughts, hit the comments below. Let's discuss. If you enjoyed this review, please smash that like button and give it a share if you really enjoyed it. And hey, why not take a second, do me a favor, click subscribe and ring that bell to subscribe to my channel for more movie reviews, entertainment news, trailer reactions, The Stand, all that good stuff. Hope you guys are all safe and healthy. Thanks very much for watching. I will see you all in the next one. Take care.